subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
सुनहरी अंबर नीला हो, धरती सुनहरी अंबर नीला, हर मौसम रंगीला, ऐसा देश है मेरा हो, ऐसा देश है मेरा हो 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 हो। मेरे देश में मेहमानों को भगवान कहा जाता है, वो यहीं का हो जाता है जो कहीं से भी आता है।
Thank God, we cleared customs with cash and jewelry without any problem whatsoever.
We must convey our thanks to Mukesh sir for his valuable advice.
So then, let's catch our cab to the hotel. So Riya, after reaching the hotel, don't forget to place our passports safely, huh?
Yes, Neel, but I was thinking about our financial passports.
A financial passport? What is that?
I am referring to PAN card and AADHAAR. This is what I heard from a friend who mentioned that it is like our social security card in the US. Very important.
I don't know anything about this. Let's get to learn about this from our NRI guru.
Hey Neel and Riya, welcome to India and let's meet Mukesh sir. Sir, as residents, we all understand the importance of a PAN card. But does an NRI also need a PAN card? If so, can you please explain how Neel and Riya can get a PAN card?
Surely, Charmi, you have asked a very important question. Talking about PAN, what is referred to as a permanent account number, for all practical purposes, it is a financial passport of not only a resident but even a non-resident, because it is virtually difficult to visualize your being able to do any meaningful financial transactions if you do not have a PAN. Under the provisions of the Income Tax Act, Section 139 capital A has the provisions prescribing the circumstances under which a person needs a PAN. Obviously, if you have to file a tax return, if you need to pay taxes or you need to claim tax refunds, quoting or citing your PAN is imminent or inevitable. Principally, under the income tax rules, there are two categories of persons who have been exempted from obtaining a PAN. One is a non-resident, if he does not have any taxable income in India, and the other is an agriculturist or, as we know, a farmer, if he has only agricultural income and does not have any other taxable income, he is also permitted to transact without a PAN. In both such cases, you would need to fill in a specific form, Form 60/61, which is prescribed under the rules. But let me tell you, while it is not mandatory for a NRI to have a PAN unless he has taxable income, you know, for all practical purposes, it is advisable that every NRI, whether he is an Indian citizen or he is OCI, a person of Indian origin for that purpose, he should have a PAN. Just as he has his passport, have this financial passport. Now, what are the reasons why you should have a PAN? Because apart from your tax related transactions, when we talk of the financial transactions, whether it is opening a bank account or placing a fixed deposit, whether it is having a demat account for trading in shares, whether you want to make an investment in mutual funds, whether you want to buy or sell a property, or even if you are going to engage yourself in incurring various expenditures, being in a hotel, buying some amounts of a value beyond rupees 2 lakhs, in all such cases, without a PAN, you would virtually be handicapped. And there was a time when obtaining a PAN was a bit challenging for NRIs because, there was no provision or facility that you could apply online, and that too without coming to India or visiting India. You could do that from your own home country. Today, Neel and Riya must remember, Chami, that this time they are in India and they want a PAN. It's very easy, simple. We'll explain them.
Okay.
But even if they were in the US or for that purpose, any NRI is in any part of the world, he can, by visiting the dedicated website for this purpose, which is managed by NSDL, they can obtain the PAN number by making an online application, by remitting the fees, and the beauty of it is that you can get a PAN card directly at your doorsteps at your foreign address as well.
Oh,
There is a slightly higher fee for that, but this facility is also available. Because there are many NRIs who do not have even an address in India. For them, they would very much want a PAN. They are not required to come here, apply online, get the PAN, but get it. So the message in this episode is loud and clear that if you do not have a PAN, just make up your mind and ensure that you do it. Now you may ask, how simple is it? What is the form? What is the procedure? And how much time does it take to get a PAN? Well, there are two forms which are prescribed for applying for a permanent account number. In case of a person who is an Indian citizen, including an NRI who holds a Indian citizenship or passport, there is a form 49 capital A. If you are a foreign entity, a foreign national, or an OCI for that purpose, you have to apply in form 49 AA. The basic requirements are, apart from your own photograph, you have to give a proof of identity for yourself, and another is a proof of address. The documents are very much listed in the form. It's quite a simple exercise, and once you have sent this to the NSDL, be assured in almost about 2 weeks' time, you are bound to get your PAN at your address. So this is it.
Thanks. It was so useful to know that a PAN card can be applied online also. And NRIs can also get the same by sitting in their own home country. But what about Aadhaar?
Well, Chami, first of all, we need to understand what exactly Aadhaar is. See, Aadhaar is a 12-digit unique identification number which is issued by the unique Identification Authority of India. And the whole objective is that in case of the applicant, he is offered a unique identity in terms of all his demographic information along with his biometric specifications. Because every person, as we know, is distinct, even though there may be other similarities as far as his fingerprints are concerned or as far as his image of the retina is captured. And therefore, just as this is something which is practiced globally, Chami, for the past few years, in fact, we have the Aadhaar Act of 2016, which was introduced, and Aadhaar has been made, let me tell you, not mandatory, but optional in a manner that it is virtually useful for everyone, every resident individual here in India. So that brings us to the question. First of all, do NRIs need Aadhaar? Secondly, whether NRIs are eligible to apply for Aadhaar. Now, talking about the eligibility, the Aadhaar Act of 2016, the prescribed condition was that every individual, even in the case of a foreign national, is eligible to apply for Aadhaar if he has been a resident in India for at least 182 days, which is say around 6 months, during the 12 months preceding the date of his Aadhaar application.
Okay.
So one of the important criteria that has been laid down is that you have to be physically a resident in India for at least about 6 months out of the 12 months preceding.
Okay.
But let me share this very important information, and I would say good news, for all NRIs, which even perhaps many may not be familiar. This came in the announcement of the Union Budget of 2019, when the Finance Minister announced that with a view to encourage the NRIs to connect with their own homeland, the first exception that has been made is that if the NRI is having Indian citizenship, that is an Indian passport, obviously you understand that you cannot be issued Aadhaar without physically being in India, because there has to be this biometric test that is required. And therefore, the NRIs were facing the challenge that if they want to take an Aadhaar, the 6 months rule would come in their way. So, under the 2019 budget, the announcement was made, the relaxation was granted, and then the rules came up, as a result of which today the law is that any NRI with an Indian passport, the moment he lands in India, he can apply for Aadhaar the very next day, even without fulfilling the 182 days rule. So that has been waived or relaxed in the case of NRIs. Now, for this reason, Chami, I think every NRI who is an Indian citizen should definitely think of, even on a short visit of a couple of days, you can easily, make an application online again to the Aadhaar center. You would be granted a date and time. You have to just go there, give the basic documentation for your ID, proof, etc. Have your biometrics done, and that's it. The Aadhaar will come at the address that you have given. Of course, one of the important conditions would be that you should be having an address in India.
Okay.
You cannot have your Aadhaar card be delivered at because it is primarily for a person who is a resident in India.
Yes.
And you know, the relaxation is made that a person who is an NRI, an Indian citizen deemed to be an Indian resident, well, if he has a resident here in India, he can very well apply and get an Aadhaar.
Okay.
Now, Charmi, you would ask me, what are the advantages of Aadhaar for an NRI? For a resident, obviously, we know that this is again a very key document for purposes of KYC, you know, for almost everything. You know, even under the Income Tax Act, under the provisions of Section 139AA, now it is mandatory that every taxpayer has his Aadhaar linked with the PAN. So PAN and Aadhaar have to be linked with each other for purposes of your valid filing of your tax returns. As far as a non-resident NRI is concerned, under 139AA, because he is otherwise not eligible except for that 182 days rule, there is an exception. So NRIs can file their tax returns even without the Aadhaar PAN linking. So that is not the real handicap, but an Aadhaar card for an NRI would be very useful because, you know, it can help you in so many KYC related procedures when you are making investments or various other, you know, you are monitoring your affairs here in India, and more particularly in case of property transactions. Buying or selling of property is a whole lot easy if you have an Aadhaar card.
Okay.
So if you are an OCI, as I said, you may have to wait for that 6 months thing, because there are OCIs who come here, spend 6 months or more at times. That is the time when they can, following the rule, though they are a foreign national, obtain their Aadhaar, and once you have got an Aadhaar, it will always remain with you.
Okay.
And therefore it is often said that Aadhaar ke bina aap niradhar ho sakte hain. So, friends, if you are in a position to get your Aadhaar card, if you are fulfilling the rules, just go ahead and get your Aadhaar. It would prove to be quite as much useful as your PAN. If you do not have it or you are not able to get it because of the eligibility criteria, don't panic, don't worry. But if you can, thumbs up.
Well, that was also very useful information, and I'm sure with this advice, all the NRIs who are the citizens of India will surely apply for the Aadhaar on their visit to India.
Thanks, sir. Knowing all this about PAN and Aadhaar was great.
But we may soon come back to you again if we have any issues regarding opening our bank accounts.
Of course, Neel and Riya, you're always welcome.